Have you ever thought, I don't want this to be my process. I don't want this to be my story. I don't want to be able to identify with someone that's going through a particular thing because I'm going through it as well. Well, if you haven't, I have, which is why I am here today. So last week, my parents were gracious enough to watch all 6 children for us, and my husband and I were able to just get away for 2 days all by ourselves with no pressing agenda. So on the last day, we were walking downtown, and as we're walking, we see this lady on the opposite side of the street, and she's crossing the street, and she has this glaring skin bald head, right? And we're crossing the street, and she turns and she sees me, and she yells, "Hey, I'm glad to see that I'm not the only one," right? So she turns around and sees my glaring skin bald head, and that's how she kind of greeted me. So she kind of stood and waited for us to cross the street. And as I approached her, I gave her this awkward smile, and it was, just kind of that awkward moment. And you could tell she wanted to engage in conversation, but I didn't, because we're in downtown and there's people passing by, and she's already made this like boisterous introduction, and I felt like all eyes were on us. So it kind of was like one of those, okay, hi, nice to see you, and have a good day. And we walk off in our own direction. And as we're walking off, my husband says to me, "Why didn't you engage her in conversation?" And for those that know me, that you know that I am not a shy person at all. I will speak to whoever, right? But I gave him some explanation, and there was some truth in what I said, but after reflecting on it, I realized that there was more to the story. There was really more to why I didn't want to stand there and speak to her, because I realized at that moment, and it's amazing because I didn't think that I would respond in that way, and I think God really used that situation to help me to see what's really there, and all that he's trying to do, right? All he's trying to do. And as I thought about it some more, I realized I didn't want to stop and speak to her because I didn't want in that moment to be able to identify with another skin bald woman. And I know that just sounds absolutely carnal, because I didn't like the attention that it was bringing to the both of us as I'm still trying to be comfortable. And while that sounds very carnal, I am so committed in this season of my life going forward to just being so transparent. I'm done with putting on the nice face and pretending like I always have the right Christian response. I am committed to being transparent, because I think in my transparency, God is able to just pull back the covers on things that I need to work on. So I'm done with pretending. So yes, I know that this is not the best answer, but I reflect on the situation, and again, I just recognize that there was some pride there on my part. I didn't want, again, to be able to identify with this woman. And I really think about it, because of my inward focus in that moment, I perhaps missed out on an opportunity to minister to this woman, or to be ministered to. I don't know her story. I don't know if she was going through chemotherapy. I don't know if God would have used me to offer some type of hope, or vice versa. Maybe she was a believer, and maybe there was something that she could have said to encourage me in that moment. I don't know. And at this point, because I was just so stuck on, I don't want this to be my story at this moment, I don't want this attention, I'm left wondering. But I thank God, just for even bringing this to my attention, because like I said, I honestly didn't think that I would have responded in this way. So my question to you is, what is your process that you're going through and you're thinking, I don't want to be able to identify with this person. I don't want this to be my story. And I just want to encourage you, as I continue to encourage myself, we don't get a chance to choose our process. So the question is not what we go through, but more, how are we going through it? Are we going through just hung up on, I can't believe this is happening to me, and how much longer, Lord? Is that my mindset, as opposed to, you know what, God, I'm going to praise you as I go through. I'm going to look for the opportunity to be a blessing even in this process. I'm going to look for all that you're teaching me in this process. I'm going to look at the things that you're taking out of me as a result of this process, the things that are coming to the surface that needs to come to the surface so that I can be purged, so I could look more like you. So again, the question is not what you're going through, but how you're going through it. So perhaps it's, you're going through a season where you're barren and you're thinking, I don't want to be the one to go to this doctor's office and sit in this waiting room with other women that are barren as well. I don't want to be able to identify with them, Lord. I want this to be over. Or perhaps, all your friends are getting married and you are left being the bridesmaids once again, and you're there speaking to the single ministry about waiting on the Lord and trusting him, and you're thinking, I'm over it. I'm done with this process. I don't want to be able to identify with all the other women that are waiting on God. Or perhaps you're going through a season of financial difficulty, or where God is saying, I'm trying to stretch your trust even more in me, and you're thinking, I'm over it. I don't want to be able to identify with people that are going through these things. I want to encourage you to just switch your perspective, because again, we can't choose what we go through. We all have our struggles or our seasons of difficulties that we have to go through. But I want to say that the process is not meant to break us. The process is meant to make us to look more like God. So how we go through it will determine how long and how many times we have to go around the mountain, and even how we go through it can even determine our growth, right? I don't want, as I've said before, I don't want my pain to be wasted. I don't want this to be for naught, right? I want God to use this to bring so much beauty from this, and I don't know all his plans, but I know that he's shown me that he wants to be glorified, and he wants to make me more like him in this process. So as I submit to this process and not kick and scream, because sometimes I still kick and scream, I can't pretend with that, but I want to submit and allow him to do what he wants to do in and through me, and allow him to use me however he may see fit to use me in this process. So I just want to encourage you to pull yourself out of self-pity mode, pull yourself out of pride mode, and just say, you know what, God, your will, not my will, be done, and I will embrace this process and see all that you want to do through it. All right, you be blessed.